Well, happy Easter for Neaster, folks, and happy Chocolate Day, or Alcohol Day, or Vice Day, if you've just finished your 45 days of Lent. For those of you who don't know, Lent is a period of time in which many Westerners give stuff up for a period of time which they usually think is 40 days, but which actually starts on Ash Wednesday and ends on Easter Sunday, which is 46 days later. The reason it's kind of technically just 40 days is because Sundays traditionally don't count, and there are 5 Sundays between Ash Wednesday and Easter. If you only did 40 days, then you would finish on the Monday before Easter, and if you took the Sundays off that, then you would finish on the Wednesday before Easter. And that's the reason why the end of Lent is today. It's Easter Sunday when we're recording this, and not the Thursday of the week before like some people like to pretend. So, booyah, sister. Sorry, personal quibble. We'll get on with the Graticast now. Mind you, I can't really have a go at my sister for breaking her fast before the official end of Lent because, well, I didn't give anything up. I used to give stuff up. I've had Lents without caffeine, without mint, without video games, but my last one was Lent as a vegan in 2011, and that one kind of put me off, to be honest. I mean, Jesus only had one 40-day fast in his life, so why are Westerners supposed to do it every single year? I keep saying Westerners, of course, because Lent is one of those Christian festivals that has been tapped into by many non-religious types. It's usually seen as a challenge to give stuff up. My sister gave up Facebook for Lent, and I honestly think she did great managing for just 42 days. That's still a big achievement. I couldn't do that, partly because I use Facebook for work, but still. I guess some Christians see Lent as a time when Jesus beat temptation by going off into the wilderness and giving everything up, and they think that showed that he was a pretty good chap, so to try and show they want to be a good chap like him, they give up stuff too. And I guess non-Christians thought, hey, we can be good too. So it became one big festival of self-punishment with everybody trying to make themselves more miserable than everybody else. One reason I didn't do that this year though was because, well, life was already doing a lot of it for me. Ever had this happen to you? High five! Well, I'd had a lot of that since the start of this year, and some of it you'll already know if you've watched previous vlogs. That EU project that was going to get my research into the power of storytelling spread out across the continent flopped at the last minute because the Turkish partners lost interest when they saw other funding opportunities come up. That big ministerial event that would at least get my research talked about around the whole of the UK flopped at the last minute because the UK press were more interested in covering the latest scientific discoveries from the 23rd century BC. Attempts to get my car fixed flopped. Not once, but 4 times. Honestly, my Lent's been more floppy than the Easter Bunny's ears. There have been others too. I recently struck up some really strong working relationships and proper friendships with people on the team behind the Cambridge Folk Festival. And they began talking about giving me and my publishers the chance to launch my book of Cambridgeshire folktales actually at that major UK festival this coming July. But the head honcho finally opened his email about 3 months into this discussion to say, no, I've already made other plans, sorry. 'Cause you know, a folk festival isn't a democracy, people. It's about ancient traditions, like totalitarianism. So, come the start of this bank holiday, I was pretty depressed. I'd kind of had enough of plates being offered to me, only to find that there weren't any food on them. And to be honest, I was beginning to think, do I still want this storytelling gig? I mean, nobody really takes any notice of how helpful it is to education. Certainly nobody seems that interested in helping me prove it, and definitely nobody seems to want to pay me more than a break-even amount to do it. So in a nutshell, I was having a crisis of faith in myself. But this was Easter, a time when loads of people go to a house of faith, and I thought, you know, I might as well tag along too. If nothing else, a nice, peaceful, meditative space might do me some good, give me the right headspace to work out where I'm going next. And I've worked in churches before, giving stories or workshops, so I'd always found them to be really welcoming and friendly to strangers. So I had a look at the website for our local church, and I found out that they had a service at 8 a.m. on Easter Sunday. That was going to be perfect for me because I had a lot of other stuff to do during the day, like record this Graticast and then head off to see my father in the afternoon. All would be well. So I got up nice and early, I walked there and arrived at 8 a.m. and found the church to be completely locked. I checked my watch and I saw 7 a.m. Of course, the clocks had gone forward, and I thought maybe they hadn't quite realised and they were just running late. So I decided to stick around and see who turned up. And 15 minutes later, that turned out to be a church warden who said, no, there's no 8 o'clock service this morning. The website was wrong. Sorry. Yet another plate offered, yet more non-existent food. I looked at the cross on the side of that church, that icon of holiness, and I said, "You've got a wicked sense of humour." That could have seriously ruined my whole Easter. The actual service wasn't until 10, and I really didn't have time to stick around for that. But they were apparently having an Easter breakfast at 8:45, so I thought I might as well stick around for that. And no sooner had I made that decision than I suddenly had a text from Cotton Pad, and that made me think, well, at least there's one plate in my life that's always full and always filling me up. Then, eventually, some villagers turned up for the Easter breakfast, and they were really welcoming and friendly. Many of them were quite interested in my job, too, and began saying about how stories and storytellers and drama and writing had helped them in their lives. But one lady apologised for the error on her website, which she said was the responsibility of her husband. She said it had probably come about because he suffered from a condition that I probably didn't know anything about. It was called ME/CFS. Now, if I believed in getting signs from heaven, I'd have a pretty hard job ignoring all of these. 1 hour in a church and I'd already had a reminder of my successful relationship, loads of people speaking positively about the kind of work that I do, and a reminder about the very reason I set up the Graticast. I'd gone there wanting space to think about where my life was headed, and I basically found myself. And on my way home I realised that's what Lent and Easter are really about. When that guy went into the wilderness 2,000 years ago, he didn't go there to show how good he was at resisting temptation. He went there to get the strength to become the man he was destined to be. Whatever you believe about the events of Easter Day itself, that was the destiny he would eventually go down in history for, being killed because he tried putting other people first, even when that meant going against the rules of the local religion. Whether you believe he was God-made human or just a man, the strength he found in the wilderness came from the same place, himself. Strength like that needs an attitude of gratitude. And several of you have shown that this Easter. Wendy number 1 was also making friends this Easter, and I remember meeting her when I was doing some storytelling training at some churches in Romania about 7 years ago. Great to hear from you again, Wendy. Wendy number 2 was grateful for the excuse to eat chocolate and relax. Sounds like you're a woman after Cotton Pad's heart, Wendy, but you can't have it. It's mine. Natalie was grateful for the National Trust and their Easter egg hunts, as was Rowena, who added her thanks for the sunshine. And that thanks was picked up by Araceli, who was also grateful for chorizo. I'm really grateful that Quorn actually recently added chorizo products to their meat-free range. It is gorgeous. Thanks for all your thanks, folks, and happy Easter to you all. Finally, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment below to let us know your thoughts on this video, and feel good about yourself. You just raised money for the fight against chronic illness just by watching this video, because you're awesome. Before I leave you though, one last thing. If you're struggling to resist temptation, just remember, to resist, you'll have to cyst at least once, and a cyst is one of those nasty bags of pus under the skin, so why would you want to redo one of those? go do something healthy instead. Stay thankful, and ciao for now.